Game Central, Kerri Symmonds.
Kerri, 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 Kerri. Lord Kerri, I mean Mary man. Yeah. We voting for Kerri, we voting BFP.
Go higher.
We voting for Kerri, we voting BFP. He is always there for the people.
A pleasant good evening to you. The scriptures tell me that a man who cannot control his soul is like a city without a wall. He will fall victim to any prey, and he will suffer any anguish. We are represented in Parliament in Christchurch East, and I say we because I speak to you tonight as a constituent who will, on the 21st of February, go to Providence and cast my, St. Bartholomew's, I beg your pardon, and cast my ballot for Wilfred Abrams, the candidate of the Barbados Labour Party. And having lived in this constituency, I can say, therefore, and continuing to live here, that we are represented in Parliament by an individual who, to all outward appearance and manifestation, is a man who has lost his soul. Mr. Dennis Lowe, a man who, as you just heard, came to public life and told you that he went to a college where he obtained a doctoral degree. But that college, from all available evidence, does not offer postgraduate theses at the level of doctor or even master's. A man who came to ministerial office and had the audacity to sit as a minister of government, and even as he sat as minister of government, sought to preside as chairman of meetings of a statutory corporation of the government, even though a lawful appointed chairman of that statutory corporation was in office. Mr. Lowe chose to sit as chairman of a statutory corporation and presided according to letters written by one Wesley Callender, who is a member of the Democratic Labour Party, who protested as a member of the board that Dennis Lowe walked in the room and took over the chairman's position, and wrote letters of protest to Fumble Stewart, saying that he, Wesley, could no longer serve, did not see fit to serve on the board of the Sanitation Service Authority when such conduct was taking place. And if that type of conduct came to light, that it would cause great embarrassment for the Democratic Labour Party because an election was coming soon, and it obviously has come out to light. We're talking about it now. And Lowe presided, according to calendar, over meetings at which decisions were made as to what company in Barbados was to get the benefit of contracts to repair trucks for the Sanitation Service Authority. And that, contrary to the advice of the permanent secretary and other senior people, that he needed to get one, not just one, but 2 or 3 other quotations on the price on which to repair a truck. Mr. Lowe proceeded to insist that a truck was to go to a specific private sector company in Barbados, and that it was supposed to be fixed for $75,000. Now, you will hear tonight on this platform a former minister with responsibility for the Sanitation Services Authority. And that which Dennis Law sought to do at Sanitation Services violated all the concepts and precepts of good governance, comes as close as one can come without crossing the line to the appearance of improper and corrupt practices. But Dennis Law remains in the cabinet tonight. He remains in the cabinet tonight because he is one of the few allies and friends of an embattled Prime Minister, Fumble Short, who does not have the authority to fire Dennis Law, because if he removes Law from the cabinet, he would move one of his few friends who keep him propped up there and protect him from that political grizzly bear that they call Christopher Sinclair. And protect him from the wild man that they call David Eswick. And protect him from the power-hungry fellow they call Don Villinis. And those three men have no use for Fumble Short. Fumble Short has no use for them, but he needs Dennis Law to make up a number. Dennis Law continues to be in your cabinet. But as though that were not bad enough, you think it only ends with the Sanitation Services Authority? This constituency, and I being a part of the constituency, we have the indignity of being represented by a man who found it possible to go to cabinet and to tell the cabinet of Barbados that he was presenting a paper which was purporting to take 21 acres of land at Bagatelle in the constituency of St. James Central and to hand that land over to Proper Port so that Proper Port and his brother would have control over the metal dump that is at Bagatelle. Now I want you to understand that metal in the international arena sells at the rate of about 5,000 United States dollars per pound. And if you consider the tons of metal that is located in Bagatelle, which is Barbados' only metal dump, you're understanding, therefore, the extent of the value of the wealth that is located in that metal dump. And I'm walking you through this because I want you to understand the extent of these arrangements that Dennis Law finds himself in the center of. And Dennis Law took up land that belonged to the government of Barbados, wrongfully caused the cabinet of Barbados to conclude that they were in a position to take that land and hand it over. When word came out, and I challenged Dennis Law as to the lawful authority on which he purports to hand the Crown land over to a private entity, Dennis Law says three things. One, that he had secured the permission of the Chief Environmental Officer and his department. Two, that he had consulted with and received the advice of that department, and not only that department, but also town and country planning. And three, that he, Dennis Law, never, ever misrepresented that which took place. And we were able to place before the Nation newspaper, and let me tell you now, we call CBC, and CBC did not condescend to participate in any press conference called by the opposition in order to expose that which was happening in Barbados. Don't mind that your taxpayers' dollars paying for it. But we also were able to have it carried on several other stations, VOB, etc. I advertising the body tonight. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, that which Dennis Law presided over is the most vulgar expression of bad governance. And that he had no town planning permission whatsoever. The documentation explicitly states that the chief town planner subsequently wrote to the cabinet, telling the cabinet that in future, if issues such as that were to arise, that he would appreciate them having the decency to notify him so that his technical people could give their expert opinion. Same type of letter was written by the persons from the environmental department. And you're going to have a former minister with respect to the environment on this platform tonight. And so you have a man who acted as a law unto himself to take 21 acres of land that belonged to you, the taxpayers, and to purport to treat it as though it was a bright fruit, to swap it for 9 worthless acres up at St. Lucie, RAB land, which can attract no town planning permission, the value of which is substantially less than what is at Bagatelle, but the state was supposed to suffer a loss. And you can't hear a word from the Prime Minister of Barbados as to the quality and the lack of transparency of that approach to government. And to make matters worse, 6 fellow residents of yours had then to take themselves to the court in order to petition the courts of Barbados in September for a judicial review of the decisions taken by the cabinet on the grounds that the cabinet acted improperly in transferring the land, on the ground that the cabinet acted unlawfully in transferring the land. Would you believe that that happened in September? And October passed, and November passed, and December passed, and January passed, and February nearly done. And 6 months later, in spite of the warnings and in spite of the direction of 3 separate judges of the High Court of Barbados, neither Dennis Law, nor Michael Ashley, nor the Prime Minister of Barbados have had the decency, nor the Attorney General, none of them who are named as respondents in an action brought by your fellow citizens. Not one of them has filed a piece of paper in the court in response to the action filed by fellow citizens of this country, because they treat themselves as though they are above the law of Barbados. And if you had been told by a judge, any of you here in Silver Sands, that you have until Friday morning to file documents, and the documents were not filed, you would be held in contempt of the court. But this government is above and purports to be beyond the law. And to make it even worse, can you imagine that of all those people involved, we have a set of about 15 persons living in the Hoyts Village, Bagatelle area, who had written saying to the government, your dump has now begun to encroach on our private property. Please take steps to rectify this, because we are being compromised. We had X amount of land, and all of a sudden, we find that we are losing 20 and 30 square feet of our land. And the government, while those 15 separate disputes are still taking place, purports to take up the land, including the people's land, under which the dispute is still ongoing, and to transfer it to a third party without reference to the citizens' rights under the Constitution of this country to the ownership and protection of their property. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we live in 2013, and we came to this point by way of a process of law and order and a respect and understanding for the rights that we each have towards each other and the duties and obligations arising And that that type of behavior manifested by the government of Barbados to trample and oppress the rights of ordinary citizens, if left unscotched, can do tremendous harm to each and every one of you. Because if they get away with it over there, they will come out here and they will do it right down here. And they will do it anywhere else in the country. And it is only a little sprinkle at this stage, don't panic. But I want to tell you tonight that if there's any aspect of doubt in your mind about the unworthiness of Dennis Law to be serving you in the cabinet of Barbados and in the parliament of Barbados, it has to be on those two principal counts. One, that he is to all intents and purposes not that which he says he is, because he tells you he has qualifications that he does not possess. And secondly, Dennis Law does not have a capacity to rein in his ministerial impropriety. He does whatever he feels like, however he feels like, and that can't work. Dennis Law should have been fired. But as Stuart don't have the balls to fire him, I am asking you on the 21st of February, fire the man. I beg now, fire the man. Nobody in the Barbados Labour Party could have done what Dennis Law is doing and get away with it. Not only would Wayne Arthur have run them out of the cabinet, but also you, the people, because you expect and have become accustomed to a higher standard. But I didn't come here only to speak to Dennis Law. The man is unsuited to parliament. He's unsuited to ministerial office. To say that he is politically uncouth is to be unkind to people who are uncouth. He is beneath contempt. He is beneath contempt. Now I also want to say to you that above and beyond dealing with Dennis Law, you need to be on the lookout, because people in times of desperation do desperate things. And I, before I get to the manifesto briefly, want to speak to you tonight about some of the desperate things that are happening. There's a chap next door there called David Eswick, and he presides over a board which has responsibility for water in Barbados. And you need to know that a couple of weeks ago, the board wrote to Mr. Eswick indicating that they had had an urgent meeting on the 6th of December 2012 and had reached a number of decisions which require his urgent approval and attention. Not the urgency of the time, but what is it that they purport to do and propose to do that is so urgent? They propose to do a rehabilitation of the Bell Bridge and repair of a 21-inch water transmission main, which will cost $532,000, and it is to be awarded to a specific set of consultants, and Mr. Eswick go approve that quick. They then, not satisfied, they want, because this is the closing chapter, to do a single source selection of a firm to carry out substructure surveys and conditions assessment for 49 kilometers of transmission main identified for replacement in water and sanitation system upgrade project. And that is to be done at the cost of United States $185,642, and Mr. Eswick is to approve that urgently. Then they're going to Joes River and the reservoir, and for the princely sum of $1,117,570, a contract is to be awarded to Mr. Eswick's good friends at Inotech. I believe that that is the company that is also building the Water Authority headquarters that can't get out to the ground. And that $1,117,570 is to be sorted out and approved quick. What is it that is happening in Barbados soon that needs these contracts to be dealt with quick? Is there some event happening shortly that I might be unaware of, that Mr. Eswick has to pay close and careful attention to get these things sorted out and off of his desk? only that, but they got some people that Mr. Eswick must pay attention to. Because there is a lady who is called Anna Innes, and she is to be given an approval for the position of administrative officer, and her salary is going to be $68,500 a year. Then there's another lady, Miss Kim Young, who will be the public relations officer, and she's to be approved quick. Then there's a Mr. Argyle Maynard to the post of engineering assistant, and quick. And a gentleman by the name of Mr. Belgrave, position of engineering assistant, quick. And Eswick is obviously very busy. Busy as a, I almost said as a bee. But he is a phenomenon unique to the Democratic Labour Party. Unfortunately for us, he is entirely unexportable. So you got to stop there. But while the Dems look after feathering their nests and making sure that their friends and acquaintances and so on are looked after in the little bit of time that is left to them, we got to think about tomorrow. And that is what makes the stage we are at in this campaign so vitally important, ladies and gentlemen. Because we are here tonight to talk to you about tomorrow. And the charter, the political commitment that we give to you with respect to tomorrow is this manifesto I hold here in my hand. And as you will have heard from this platform tonight, the manifesto speaks to several things which are fundamental to each and every one of you in the context of your well-being immediately and in the short to medium term. Immediately, you want that you go to the supermarket and you could get little food at a cheaper price, don't you? And if that is what you want, you can't be guided by the idiot who we have as a prime minister who tells you that the idea of having money in your pocket can be solved by going to a drug lord. Because to tell you that means that you should go and sell drugs to get money. And when I got more sense than that, I hope. So don't mind that Fumble Short sees that as his vision for you. You have to have a vision that will not collide with Dodds or some other institution of incarceration. So what do? You vote for Wilfred Abrams if you're from down here. You vote for me if you're in St. James Central. You vote for the Barbados Labour Party candidate of your constituency, and you empower a government led by Owen Arthur to make sure that we intervene and bring down food prices in this country. Quick. That's what we're going to do, quick. Not feed the fatted calf to the people who are friends and supporters of the Democratic Labour Party. And what we have to do, therefore, is to deal with the value-added tax on food. Now, the manifesto makes it abundantly clear that that will be brought down to 15% from the 17.5 where it is now. Quick. But we also going to look at this thing they call the bound rates. And I want you to understand that when the idiots tell you over there that they can't do anything, their hand tied, there's an international recession, oh Lord, it bad all about. It has to be managed as it arrives on your doorstep. And if you can't manage it, then the need for you to be in government. If all you can do as a government is say, I can't do nothing, there is no need for you. If I stand here and tell you, well, I am here tonight to tell you I can't do nothing, so vote for me, you should tell me, go along. But what we are saying to you is that something can be done. We have a whole range of things which are imported into this country, but because of our relationship with the World Trade Organization, we have set high tariffs, and those tariffs, by simple word, taxes, at the port of entry. And they are essentially intended to protect those goods that we do produce here, but that are vulnerable. And if you were to let them come in from overseas to compete, and I give you an example, our poultry industry, we are growing out a beautiful, well, we were under the Barbados Labour Party, growing out a beautiful poultry industry and a pork industry to the point where we could feed ourselves without importing any pork or any chicken. Not true? But if you were to allow the importation to come in at a subsidized rate, you would be decimating your own industry. So you keep the tariff lines high, the tax lines high, and therefore you protect your people. But there are many things which we do not produce, but which are imported here, but are attracting high levels of taxation that are humbugging you. If you want to eat oats, none are grown anywhere in Barbados, but all brought in and attracting high tax lines. If you want to get vegetables of certain types, fruits of certain types, we have no oranges growing in Barbados. We ain't got no grapefruits and apricots growing in Barbados. But if you want to eat them things, as you should, then you're going to pay for them. And what we say is, why make it unnecessarily expensive if you're not protecting any local orange producers, you're not protecting any local grapefruit producers, then reduce the bound rate and let the thing come in cheaper so in the supermarket and wherever else you can get your stuff at a good price. And that is how we intend to approach the issue. And the manifesto speaks to that. Now I also want to say to you that we are committing ourselves in this document to taking the Barbados Labour Party philosophy of empowering people who have their own households a little bit further. We introduced a tax, a land tax limit of $125,000, and if you had a house that was $125,000 or less, you paid no land tax. Well, remember when we went out to do that? Now we are saying it must go further. And that as we get in, quick, we are now looking to carry that to $200,000. If you have a house that is valued at under $200,000, you pay no land tax, that money in your pocket to do something else with. And if it is more than $200,000, you will be tax-free for the first $200,000 of the value. That is the approach we intend to bring to make sure that we ease the squeeze and we lift you out of the financial difficulties that you feel. But before you do any of that, I want to go back to where I began. You have to decide that this election in Christchurch East is an election about emancipating yourselves from political frauds. That when people come to you, they have to be transparent. That when people seek and get your support, they have to be worthy of it. And that when those people are placed in high office, that you should be able to shut your eye and trust that land that the crown owns is not being dissipated, and that lies are not being told on hard-working civil servants who are there to protect the environmental interests of Barbados, there to protect the town and country planning development of this country, but that those people are not being ridden roughshod over. A man write his own cabinet paper, carry it to cabinet, secure that which he wants secure for whatever reasons he wants secure, tell lies about it to you, still remains in cabinet because the prime minister can't touch he. Well, who make these people? Who make them? And I feel offended as a constituent of Dennis Low's. And that's why I'm going to vote you out. Not because I'm a member of the Barbados Labour Party, but because Dennis Low is unsuitable to represent me in Parliament. And I ask each and every one of you with a vote down here, vote him out. Low must go. Wilfred Evans has said it 3 times. Low must go. Low must go. I see the light here flashing, and they tell me I got no more time, so I got to go. Good night. God bless you.
Yeah.